All right, I believe we are good to go. So, welcome everyone to another edition of our BDPA Tech and Career Talks. Super excited for today's conversation, very timely and relevant with everything that's going on. But we're going to get into that. But before we do that, I am Devin Jenkins, like you to know who's talking to you. I'm the National Tech and Career Talk leader for BDPA. Serve as an IT business partner for our U.S. and Canada commercial operations at GE Healthcare. And I'm also the founder and CEO of Share the Vibes LLC, where we connect people to music and technology. So I'm glad to have you with us today. I'm based in Charlotte. We have people in the room, literally from coast to coast. We got South Carolina, we got Cali in here today. I mean, everything in between. So thank you for being with us today. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment below. Let us know what you think about the conversation and what else you would like to hear as we get ready for 2026. And share this conversation with somebody who you know needs to hear it, because you know somebody who needs to hear it. So share it. Don't be stingy. Share the love. Share the love. So before we jump in, I always like to give a little bit of context around BDPA, as well as these tech and career talks, so you are familiar with the organization if you aren't already, and know what we're all about. So BDPA was founded in 1975 as Black Data Processing Associates, as an organization to continue building the talent pipeline of African Americans in the technology industry. We have a focus on youth and professionals. We do computer programming skills, soft skills, teaching emerging technologies, even just general professional development, knowledge and skill sets as early as the middle school age and high schools as well. We have national competitions where they come and compete and get scholarships at our annual conference and more. So a lot of work happening at the grassroots level, developing technology skills in our young people. And also we continue to provide opportunities for collegiate students and professionals to continue to expand their skills and their networks so that we can continue advancing careers from the classroom to the boardroom. So that's BDPA. These tech and career talks take place second and fourth Friday of each month at 12 p.m. Eastern, 1 hour. And we bring in a range of topics and speakers to give you something that you can take some value from, no matter whether you're a student trying to figure out what to do in this space or you're a senior executive on the verge of retirement. We have something that everyone can take value from in these conversations. So I'm glad to have you with us today. Super excited for today's conversation. Always glad to have Akil and Vanguard Consulting Group with us. We're not stopping this partnership anytime soon, so get with it or get lost. But we're excited for today's conversation with someone who's no stranger to BDPA or the Tech and Career Talk. So I'm excited for what we're going to learn today. So Akil, I'm going to give you the floor to introduce our special guest in today's conversation, and I'm going to get out of your way. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Devin. As always, beautiful partnership, and I love working with you. So thank you for the intro and getting us going here. Good morning and welcome to everybody on here. We have a nice group today, so this should be fantastic. My name is Akil Beck-Timba. I'm the president and CEO of Vanguard Consulting Group LLC, and I am thoroughly excited to kick off this conversation with our special guest, Anastasia Jackson. Anastasia is a genius, an HBCU alumni, entrepreneur, advocate, technologist, leader, and the list goes on. And we'll get deeper into it in a second here. But before we get started, a little housekeeping. Throughout today's session, we field as many questions as we can, questions and answers, and give as many answers as we can as time allows. So please throw your questions into the chat, and we'll pull from the chat as we go through today's talk. We will also look to some opportunities, maybe later on down the road here, some opportunities to get you guys to come in and just ask questions yourself. So we'll see how time goes, but just wanted to make sure that you guys had some access to engage with some questions in the chat. So thank you for that. Welcome, Anastasia. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, good morning, good
afternoon, right?
wherever you are.
Depending on what coast you're
on. Yeah, thank you both for having me again. I always love this platform.
Yeah. It's funny because when we talk about where in the heck are we these days, and all the folks that are on the call, I love our history, and so I want to start out, first of all, just before we get started, just checking in with you and seeing how you're feeling today. Life is life, and we talked a little bit about that in the beginning here, but where are you today? I know you coast to coast, internationally as well, so.
Yeah, and when I like you ask me this question, it never ceases because I usually am somewhere.
Right.
So right now, currently I'm in Tallahassee. I'm at FAMU's campus. So, and it's funny because
Fantastic.
everyone on the call, I'm actually from Oakland, the Bay Area. So like that's home base and I'm like never there.
That's right. And I mean, and I mean, you did a little time in Bali. You've been
Yeah.
in, so when I say international, where on the planet are you? I really mean that because depending on the day, you may be somewhere else. So that's fun. So let's get into the conversation. We got some questions already kind of prepared for you, and just kind of guide us through the conversation. But this is very, you know how we talk. It's engaging, and just wanted to
Okay,
kind of set the
Rattler.
tone here. That's right. That's right. So, talk to us about kind of I want to learn a little bit more about you and
Yeah.
how you went, you just talked about home base and foundation is Oakland in the Bay Area. Um,
Mhm.
from Oakland to Howard. Let's talk
Yeah.
about how that took place and what brought you to Howard, what attracted you to go to DC and what started this
This
journey of
journey.
yours.
So, that's such a my brain is like that's such I'm trying to like make it short. For those who don't know, WeNite, I did start my company from my experience from what I experienced on my first day at Howard, but no one's ever asked me what brought me to Howard. So actually, I grew up once again in California, and then my family relocated to St. Louis. But
Mm,
just given my background, I wasn't really introduced to HBCUs. And so when I was in high school and I was going through the process of like, okay, like what kind of colleges, I watched Drumline, and that was like, there's such thing as Black colleges.
yes.
So I Googled them, and yeah, Howard was my always my top choice. But then I got accepted to Howard, Clark Atlanta, Spelman, and Grambling, which is actually my family school. I have on their
There you go.
IU Classic shirt right now. Um, and yeah, so that's what I chose Howard. My family was totally against it because they were like, you don't even know anyone in DC and you want to go
Mm,
all the way over there. But honestly, I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I chose it, even with all the hardships.
yeah. I it's interesting because when you talk about drumline and being kind of the
I
catalyst for
know.
you to look
I
at
know.
HBCUs, I think there's some people my generation on here and maybe even older. I think uh, um,
School days.
School Days was the was
Mhm,
yes, it
mhm.
was definitely the was that for us. So I'm glad that we have some mediums out there that are introducing us. So let's talk about a little bit when you've spoken about We Night being born out of your own experience at
Yeah.
Howard, right? And what was the moment that made you say enough is enough? There are some things that not only am I going to make it through, but I'm going to try and be part of fixing it.
Yeah. So my first day at Howard, as illustrious and as much as I love Howard University,
Mhm.
um, my first day, I used to coin it as the worst day of my life because imagine, driving out there only to find out that your housing assignment was lost, meaning you need to go sleep in your car the first night, and then your class assignments disappear, and then you have like a $16,000 hold, but you haven't even taken one class. That was my first day.
Yeah.
And so, but when you ask, when did I say enough is enough? It wasn't until I found and surrounded myself with a community who all went through the similar things, whether they were students, alum, and faculty, like everybody had experienced like this, they call it the runaround at Howard. I'm not sure if everyone calls it that. Um,
Mm,
but the culture of needing to really work hard and hit the pavement to just get the basic needs met. Um, Once I surrounded myself with people who like all went through those type of traumas, we began to like trauma bond. And I realized that
mm,
my everyday was starting to sound like I was complaining all day. And I was like, this doesn't feel good. I'm like, wait a second, if I step back for 2 seconds and allow myself to observe what's going on and see if there's a solution that can be built around it. And as soon as I did that, it was very clear. It was like
mhm.
technology. Like
Yeah.
the faculty and staff, like they're stressed. The students are stressed. Everybody's stressed. because
I
of
can
the
make it
manual
easier.
processes. Yeah, they were stressed because of the manual processes. They were stressed because a 3-person team was expected to take care of 10,000 students. And that's just like not humanly possible. So that was the moment where I was like, you know what? We could actually fix, like, we could solve this. We don't have to
Yeah.
do the complaining.
And the dope part about it is that, and we'll kind of get more into how WeNite was born out of this.
Yeah.
Is that, you also saw, and I've known we've talked about this in previous conversation, that this was not just Howard, that this was
No,
a problem throughout the HBCU system in many ways, and even throughout the entire
even beyond.
university and college system.
Hmm.
And so, so your solution, at least your mind state towards pushing pushing towards a solution, utilizing technology and your skill set, was super important. And so I've done a little bit of research, and I know WeNite stands for innovation,
Hmm.
equity, and intentional technology, right? And so, can you
Yes.
share a little bit about the meaning of the name? WeNite is an interesting name, and I wonder, what was the motivation or the mission behind just the name getting started here?
Yeah. So when I was coming up with the name, fun fact, actually, the first name I chose was like, I was like HBCU Connect. And then like I
Yeah,
went to go trademark it and I was like, oh, it already exists and it's been
yeah,
existing longer than I've been alive.
right.
I was like, you let's scratch that. But then I thought about like what we stand for. And I realized like all I really wanted to do at that time was like unite us because back then I was like, if we just knew what resources were out there, everything would be fine. A lot has changed since then, but that's what I thought. And I felt like what was causing the drift then was the fact that it was always on one person to like do that. Like it was always on one person to hold it all together and be the glue, and then they would
Mhm.
burn out. And I was like,
Yeah,
it shouldn't be the responsibility of one person. It should be the responsibility of the collective of us doing it together. We all should collectively be uniting us. So that's where, we night, but it's unite, replace the you with we.
I love it. I love it. And many founders build companies to solve a problem, as you initially started.
Yeah.
But you're rebuilding trust in entire institutions, which, there is this kind of overlying thing going on right now where there's a I think there's a created um, conflict, or there's building something between the training, like technical training and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and institutions, right, that are of
Yeah.
higher learning. And so, I don't know why there's this division happening, but it's part of it
Yeah.
is the experience that you just said, why would I go and spend all of this money? Why would I go and do all of this? And I'm getting, this is the service, or this is the experience I'm having.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think you started on it, but I want you to kind of expand a little bit more on how your early experiences shaped your bigger vision for WeNite and this solution, because it's grown since that first day,
Yeah.
and saying, oh man, my classes are jacked up, my dorm is jacked up, I'm owing it, like, these things that weren't working well, but it's expanded so much further than that. Can you share a little bit of that?
Yeah. So rebuilding trust. First, I had like just on the journey, I really had to actually, even right now, I'll say that later. I'll say that later. But I was on the journey of listening, and while I was listening to everybody talk, and just like hearing like their pain points and what they were facing and all the things, I realized that, let me think, sorry, one second. I was realizing that it was like because they were overburdened, that was what was causing the lack of trust because
Mm,
no one really knew what was going on. And so then, like, faculty would go rogue, make their own systems. Students would, you know, immediately blame admin and take it to social media, or like, at, at Howard, we're famous for
mm,
protests. They would just go protest the A building. Um, and for us, or for WeNite, rebuilding trust, we do that by using technology. And first, we automate systems. So we save the admin time. So yes, the work has to get done regardless,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe we could save you 40 hours of checking your email and chasing people down by just automating your compliance and your due diligence. Maybe we could save you millions in dollars by seeing what this all this the gap from the outdated systems that you're using. And I'm saying these numbers, but this was actually the pilot we did at Howard. So these are real numbers,
Mm-hmm.
y'all. Not just throwing them out there, but we could save you 800,000 a semester, just by, connecting the technology that you are using and building for what you don't have. And like those two things rebuild trust. Because one, if you know, like, your money is transparent, it's flowing, it's increasing, you feel like you have nothing to worry about there. You can relax, put your shoulders down a bit. And then two, if your time is being saved and you're not running around like crazy all the time, then once again, you can put your shoulders down a little bit more to know that you're able to get all the workload done without burning yourself out. So that's how we're building trust. And as you can imagine, that trickles into the students, because if the students can rely on the admin and they're regulated and all the things,
Mm-hmm.
it just is a domino effect.
And like you said, I mean, I think, intention builds trust too, right? And
Yeah,
so
for
when
sure.
there is, confusion, if someone believes because it's being communicated, that intention is being communicated in the way, and there's systems and progress being made um, by offerings like what WeNight does,
Mhm.
then it might give you a little chance to still mess up a little bit, or there might be a little
Yeah,
understanding around what's going on, right? And I think you guys putting those systems in place, and then at the same time, having people's time free up a little bit so they can be more engaging and they can do more of the service part of their jobs. It really makes a big difference.
yeah,
Um, when and we're talking about this, so when we're talking about institutions struggling to balance automation and authenticity, right?
yeah.
And so how does WeNight design technology that it still has that human touch? Because you are very much a human touch person,
I am.
but you're also a technologist and an automator to a certain degree, right?
And an
So,
optimist at that, optimist
there
of AI. So it's like I'm standing on both zones.
there you go. So tell
Um,
me how WeNight does that part.
yeah, so I alluded to it earlier about listening. So like actually right now is day one of our listening tour, where we're doing a road trip, going to HBCU to HBCU to listen to those, people that I was just talking about, those who are in that position, listen to their workflows. Because I did it for Howard, but now it's time to expand.
Hmm.
And actually, that's what the game changer was. It was about listening first, and then co-building, co-designing with the with the team of like the university. Um, I definitely believe leading up to now, a lot of the culture of like tech companies was that they would just build something and be like,
Here's the
here,
solution.
yeah,
Yeah.
here's your solution. It works. You're going through this and this. Oh, perfect. It works just for you.
Hmm.
For instance, no shade, no tea, but Workday did that with Howard originally. They're like, oh yeah, and actually a lot of universities. Here's a solution, but Workday is built for enterprise companies, not institutions. So there's a lot
Right.
of gaps that a lot of these universities are facing now that they've switched to Workday. So yeah, I just learned from what wasn't going right, historically, and I realized that listening and co-building is the missing key. It has to be community centered
Yeah, and customized, right?
and
I think
customized. Yeah, it's
that's
no
what I
cookie
hear.
cutter.
Yeah.
There's too much culture to be cookie cutter.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And speaking of culture,
Yeah.
you know, well, before I move on to the next question, you talked about your listening tour that's going on. We all
Yay.
know you're at FAMU right now. There's a couple people in the chat that are
Some rattlers.
rattlers, so give them a shout out. Um, where are you going? Where are you going next after FAMU? Do you have
I
a
was I was hoping you were home. I'm going up to Atlanta.
Oh, well, I'll be there tomorrow, so maybe
Oh,
we can
well then
connect.
I'll see you.
Yeah,
Yes.
there we go. There we go. So Atlanta's next. So is that all the AUC? Are you going to Spelman, Clark, Morehouse?
I'm gonna focus on HBCUs
Okay.
solely. And my plan is to go kind of as far up as DC,
Okay.
and then kind of like out as far out as Missouri. So I'm gonna like do like a little
You're doing a, you'll end
roundabout.
up back home, your other home.
Yes.
Somewhere. Got you. Okay.
We'll
All
see.
right. So
We'll
those of
see.
you in the chat, you hear the route. If you know anybody at those places, hook Anastasia up with some
Yes,
contacts out
please.
there. Um,
I'm gonna keep everyone posted on LinkedIn.
okay,
This is
great.
day one. Everything is still being finalized. I'm gonna take two days to just like really finalize the listening tour and like my
Perfect.
stops and just logistics.
Yeah.
But please reach out if anyone wants to like contribute to the listening tour. Tell me what their experiences are, and anything else.
There we go. There we go. Yes, yes, yes. We gotta help resource this mission, and I love that what I'm seeing in the chat, that people have contacts in a lot of places, and so
Yay.
want to share those with Anastasia and her team. We talk about, you said you started to talk about culture a little bit, right? And so we talk about the fact that the work that we do um, is globally recognized, but it's really, really you started with HBCUs, and there's a reason for that, and you're
Yeah.
touching the African diaspora, right? And so,
Yeah.
quick question: what does ethical AI really mean? And especially when we're talking about serving communities across the African diaspora in the United States
Yeah.
and Caribbean and the continent and everywhere else that we find ourselves. I know you went to um, um, Afro Tech.
Afrosec? Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit when I went to AfroCon in Atlanta. We talked a
Mm-hmm.
little bit since then, and so there's a bunch of this stuff going on. So just going back to the question, what is your view? What does ethical AI mean, especially as it pertains to our people?
To be honest, I feel like that ethical AI is going to continue to mold, like the meaning is going to continue to evolve. Because right now, it's to me, it's more like a mindset. It's more
Mm,
like um doing your due diligence. Don't just use any AI tools without like being aware of what the trade-off is. Like I know when I use like a no code solution or anybody's solution that there's a good chance in their clause somewhere that they own my data, you know.
mhm.
They're using it how they will. Um and like so when you say ethical AI, I take it as for like how we build. We're just extra intentional
Mm,
about making sure that our institutions keep ownership of their data, which is why we use blockchain as well, like for governance purposes and that transparency. And then hopefully eventually just set them up to be able to like license out their data whenever we get there, because that's coming.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so it's like just like having that mindset of thinking far out and be like, okay, we build this. Well, let's be intentional. When we build this foundation, because that's exactly what it is. This is the foundation. These are the systems that's going to be in place as we go forward into the next 100 years. So I really see it more so as that mindset and just like that due diligence and taking that extra care more than a straight defined thing, because I feel like it's going to continue to evolve.
I think that due diligence is important, and I know I don't want to spend too much time on kind of the detail of it, but I do want to
Yeah,
ask you, um, you know, AI, we know, and you just mentioned that the AI landscape is changing rapidly, right?
yeah,
It's moving around. And to your point a little earlier about, the ethical side of it, we work with our friend, Dr. Sophia Noble and her work. We also have, we work together on the 1890 project a little bit, and we got some things going on with that, and kind of all of that encircles that. But
yeah.
I'm wondering what your
I do.
thoughts on how the landscape is going to change in higher education for the next 5 years. And when you talked about due diligence, it kind of made me think about, what are the risks if we don't adapt it intentionally? And some thoughts on that. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so like that's a really good question because I am a strong believer that we need to adapt. It's not even
Right.
not even a question anymore.
Yeah.
It's like we have to because one, we deserve sovereignty. We already know, our community already knows what it's like to be introduced to a system that you didn't have any parts of when it came to building it. And then like that system make you like dependent on it, and like how it just impacts our life. Like look at all the systems in place today, and like look how it impacts the community. And you can like, you know, we don't want that to happen again. And right now, universities implementing their systems to be sovereign, to have data ownership, to um, have be able to still have like their team that they, without like having to hire, or like without having to use resources that they don't have, or resources that they don't, you know, have access to. Um, Using like building a system that works for them, because our community, and I feel like I'm kind of going all over the place, playing the
No, no,
ADHD.
you're good.
Our community is, and I said this at Afrotech, our community is already abundant. Like we just naturally are. We're automatically creative. We automatically are innovative. Like we already have the things that a lot of people work so hard to like cultivate within themselves. And
Mhm.
so when we build our own systems, because now we have the resources to do so, when we build our own systems to match that frequency, then uh, like that's the perfect foundation. Like we we finally get that perfect foundation. But like if they don't, if universities choose not to, then when the federal funds stop again, or when this happens, when that imbalance, that system that's been in place for, you know, the past however long starts to
Mhm.
fail again, then you're still in that same position. But like we really need to like get out of this loop and just start to be more sovereign.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about this a lot, and you mentioned the blockchain, but ownership is key. Uh, we're not against sharing our genius. We just want to own it, right? You
Yeah.
have to pay for it. You have to
Yeah.
license it, or you have to do whatever, you know, whatever
Something
the
has to be reciprocal.
transaction is, right? Whatever the transaction is, but it's definitely not. We're not allowing theft anymore. We're not allowing, you know, just using and stealing our ideas and
Yeah.
stealing,
What
you
was
know,
that
our
word that they
things.
usually we say, what they do to the community? Extract from us, or like
Yep.
just constantly like they
Appropriate, extract,
yeah.
all of those things. So you know, there's systems in place, and these are systems that you know, you guys are working on, that you put into place, that enables and empowers institutions and other companies and other organizations to own their data and to utilize it, you know, and leverage it the way that we should be leveraging it, because it's
Yes.
not we're not creating these things to keep to ourselves, right?
No.
We're creating these things to improve the world. So
Hmm.
when you talk about building smarter systems, that's, you know, what's one outdated system in higher education that you believe must be reinvented first? And I think you kind of alluded to that, and that may be the whole administration part, but
No.
is there one that, you know, that you, well, either you started working on because that's out of necessity, or there are others that you think should be targeted next?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few use cases. The one I was talking about with Howard, that was their Blackburn Center, was their, which is their event management center. Like it was once again 3-person team in charge of all events on campus.
Mm,
All events on campus, and they would have hundreds of events in a day.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot. And so that's where we discovered like they were losing their current tools that they were using, that technology, their legacy systems was costing them. I want to rephrase it. It was costing them 800,000 in lost invoices alone every
Wow.
semester. They update these
No one,
systems,
no one can just lose almost $1 million.
and they didn't
That's
know.
terrible.
They didn't know they were losing that because they're too busy. Like they
Yeah,
gotta build up the room, they gotta break it down, like hundreds of events, and they have to manually, you know.
yeah.
I digress. But to be honest, I would say that the so far I believe the biggest use case where if I could, I would tell everybody, like all the universities, like this is the one you need to focus on, but I won't. I will never do that. Um, is actually their commercialization.
Okay.
Getting from idea to like students, faculty, they they're there to build something. And a lot of times, like even WENITE, I started this when I was a student. A lot of students start their businesses as they were students. I mean, like on campus. There's a lot of researchers who invent things. And what happens is if they're not connected and they fall through the cracks, like I didn't get resources until I graduated. So if they fall through the cracks, then that means that the institution is losing out on that money.
That's right.
Because if they partner and help them early, then we're both in this. You have equity, I got the resources I need. We're a win for a win.
Right.
And that's how that's how Harvard, MIT, I think Stanford, like that's how they've gotten to where they are now because they commercialize on the genius that's already on their campuses. That's why they can go head to head to a government, you know?
Right. And,
Um,
and that's the
yeah.
purpose of university, right? That's the purpose of college and university
Yes.
is to do exactly that. And so when we steer away from that or we don't provide the resources in order to foster or increase that opportunity, we're missing out on a lot of talent.
Yes.
There's a question from
Oh,
Samuel in the chat here. It says,
okay.
how are you helping HBCUs to learn how to share in their systems learning experiences as a collaborative community to maximize? A second question or follow-up was also to maximize their lessons learned and experiences. So how are you helping HBCUs to learn how to share in their systems learning experiences as a collaborative community, which I know you're doing some of that, um, and maximize lessons learned?
Okay. Share in their systems. What does that part?
You wanna come on, Sam or Samuel, and say your question or clarify what you mean? No?
And if, maybe drop it in the chat. Cause yeah, I'm thinking like share in the sense of um, like
Well, it looks
share
like
the
yeah,
blueprint.
it looks like their learning systems, their experiences with their learning systems, and create more of a collaborative community. Maybe is what
Okay, so like, hey, we're doing this.
school
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So that's happening. That's happening. For WeNight, we actually, because we want to cultivate that space more too, because I found that it's happening in rooms that not a lot of people are in. So only a few are benefiting. Oh, trying to unmute my mic. Oh, hopefully I'm answering your question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Hopefully.
Thank you,
Oh, there you go.
Anastasia. I got it there. Yeah, I
Okay.
was that's what I was talking about is the lessons that you're seeing in each of the campuses and helping them to learn about how to collaboratively work together within their own
Yeah.
campus. That same notion of from a systems point of view, how are you
Mm,
helping them to think about, rethink, if you will, in terms of as HBCUs, and as you were saying earlier, a lot of the systematic challenges that they have are or have been similar, even though the campuses are different.
yeah.
How are you helping them to just rethink and say, "Hey, have you thought about ways to look at other things that have already been learned and incorporate them or some form of them in saving you, the HBCUX, some time and resources?"
Yeah. Okay. I get it. Thank you. That's,
And thank you
um,
for being the St. Louis experience. That's my home too. So
yeah.
I'll look to talk with you if you're through there, depending on your schedule later on.
I
Okay.
will. I think I saw in the chat too. My mom lives there, mom and grandma. So I will be there for Thanksgiving.
Okay,
Thank
okay.
you.
Well, I'll try to say, holler at you then while you're there.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, but no, that's a really great question. So honestly, it's kind of two things. One, we always need a champion. Usually there's someone on their campus, multiple people on their campus who's like yelling at a brick wall saying the same thing. So working with them is always, my go-to because they're already in that mindset. But when we have to change some mindsets, I just hit them with the facts.
Yeah.
So I usually start like we start off our process by first looking at their current workflows and just start to itemize like, okay, these are the hours that you're wasting. This is the money that's leaking. And usually once they see that report, they're like, I always heard people complain about it, but I didn't know like we need to do this. I just thought it was a pain, So that's kind of the two things that we do.
That's cool, it's perfect segueing to what I was going to ask you next. And thank you, Samuel, for clarifying that question. So, you know, we think about this integration, right, of these new concepts or new processes and
Mhm.
systematic changes. And so we talk about it in WENITE helping to integrate into the day-to-day realities of the university,
Yeah.
right? You just talk about itemizing each little piece and how to, where to find the gaps and where to find the leaked expenses and the things that
Yeah.
that can help improve. So that's from administrative pain points to faculty culture, right? So without overwhelming people with tech jargon, excuse me, because you
Mhm.
said, you'll have a champion that really kind of knows what you guys are doing, but this has to be implemented, excuse me, across the board. And there's some people that it's going to have to, they're going to have to work with this new system or this new thing that aren't necessarily tech people, right? So
Mhm. Mhm.
how do you get them involved and excited
Yeah.
about these changes without overwhelming them with, the technology jargon and language and that kind of thing?
Yeah. Practice um, with the jargon part, because so that's so we have a pilot program, and we usually start off with that. It's 12 weeks, and we always, once again, just keep reiterating this, we always start off with listening.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we find that no one has done that before, like because their administration probably doesn't have the time to actually go sit and listen to every single person in their team, on their teams, and all the things, and piece it together. Like usually you'll have to like put a group together to get all that work done. But just by listening, a lot of listening, and just like writing it all down, or just like transcribing it all down. I'm blanking on where I was going with
We were
Sorry,
talking
where
about
I'm
the
going with that.
jargon. How do you get people who are not tech people to get in?
Okay, yes, thank you. So
Gotcha.
yes, after after putting all that stuff down and like just going through the process of the pilot, since it's all co-built, there's like that co-ownership feeling. And so it's easier to adopt because it's like finally, right? Finally someone heard me. Finally I have the resources to fix it. Because I know one of our faculty members, we also do workshops. Our workshops are usually what's the fastest thing for us to do for universities. And at one of our workshops, a faculty member actually, by the end of this 1 hour session, built a solution for their entire department so that the professors could grade the stuff, or grade their assignments faster. And
Perfect.
like it's stuff like that. So they took on the ownership for themselves. They're like, I can solve my own problems. Like I have ownership. Like I am no longer a victim. I have control to change the circumstances. And I that magic is where it becomes helpful.
Well, and I can see, because I do a lot of that kind of change management piece in my own work as well, and so it's always a much stronger connection when you, and I'm just going to break down what you just said. Listening, first of all, right, and really giving
Yeah.
people a chance to express what their pain points and what their challenges are. Um, Two, once you create the solution, that they're part of the solution, so they feel like, you listen to me and you integrate it into the solution what I said. So now I'm part
Hmm.
of this ownership of this solution, and then the implementation usually is much smoother when people
Yes.
mindsets are set to that. So that's fantastic. There are different AI infrastructures, right? When we talk
Yeah.
about mission-driven organization versus a corporate one, and you talked about how solutions have been kind of pushed into or thrown onto universities that don't necessarily meet. They're not built for those institutions. So,
Yeah.
what does AI infrastructure look like in a mission-driven organization versus maybe
Yeah.
a corporate one?
Yeah. So let me think more about what it looks like for the corporate, because for mission driven, I can quickly like just already um, say that it's AI infrastructure is going to support the vision and that mission more so than it's going to, and for like corporate, mm, let me think, because like corporate is more, it's not mission driven at all. It's like capitalistic.
ROI,
So
right?
so it's
It's
all
return on
about
investment
money.
and it's bottom line.
Yeah, it's all about ROI financially. It's not really about the impact that it's having. It's more so, you know, keep you satisfied enough to continue to pay every year or pay whatever contract you're signing up. And but not really mission driven. It like, you know, I don't think I would ever see Workday send a team to go listen
Right.
go to the campus to listen to change their solutions. They're probably talking to one person, or there's probably like a 24/7 AI chatbot that people have to go talk to. So I would say that that connection piece is essential when you're building AI infrastructure for community based and like our institutions, because institutions are culture. Like it's a culture. It's a that's yeah. So you have to build it for impact rather than just for money.
Yeah. So purpose and that relational side as opposed or
Yeah.
compared to just a transactional
Yeah,
piece.
I would maybe even say further, like the AI infrastructure for universities is to relieve a burden. It's to open them up. It's to like serve them
Mhm.
versus a corporation AI infrastructure is to just be implemented or like, yeah, be used.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, so as a woman leading in AI and data systems, what lessons have you learned about resilience and representation? I know you talked about this before, but I'm always interested in your thoughts on, you know, how you represent as a woman leading in this space, and is there, you know, are there challenges to that in technology? And I think I know the answer, but I'm gonna let you answer
Yes.
it.
um, yeah, so when I started WeNite, I was on Howard's campus. So I was like surrounded by, you know, my community. And then later on down the line, my co-founder, Jennifer, love her so much,
Mhm.
another Black woman. So like I didn't experience the feeling of being a minority until I moved back to California with my CEO hat on and being like, all right, let's go network. And I was like, oh, I remember this feeling. I'm the only person of color, the only Black woman too in this room. So, you know, how do I take up space?
Right.
So I feel like there's a lot of moments like that, but also it's kind of a superpower because you stick out. People are looking. So I use that to my advantage too, because I'm like, you're already looking at me. We might as well talk.
Right. I love that. I love.
But yeah.
What would be one myth? Because we have a lot of young, you know, you are a perfect example of BDPA's mantra of from the classroom to the boardroom, right? And so we
Mhm.
have a lot of younger professionals and young listeners on this. What's one myth about leadership in tech that that you'd love to dismantle for our young professionals out there listening today?
I would love to dismantle the myth that leadership means you need to be masculine. Um,
Mm,
I learned that the hard way when I first took on this this vision and this hat. I thought I had to like micromanage. I had to have everything like all squared away, and they just need to execute, you know, like do the things. But then it wasn't conducive for me. I turned into like an angry person. It was terrible times. Um, he didn't like me. No, I'm playing. They didn't say
yeah.
that. But yeah, no, I was able to just like throw that away and be like, okay, what does actual leadership look like for me? And I was able to set up a structure that's more fluid. Like, I don't care how many hours you work, but these are the tasks we're getting done. So as long as they're done, I really don't care. Life be lifing.
Yeah.
Use your hours how you may, but like let's get the work done. Let's move the needle forward every week. Let's keep going because to be honest, the startup life, I know is so glamorized, but it's not that. It is that in moments, but that's moments. Like even when you have those moments, life, like even right now, right? Like life can be so like, ugh, like
Yeah.
heavy. Um, and so you don't want to, for leadership wise, you don't want to approach your baby, your vision from a very like stronghold, concrete way. You want to have that flexibility to allow yourself, your team to adapt through life and evolve through life.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I think that's a key, and that's why it's so important, for us to have that kind of question in this conversation because leadership um, is what you make it, right? But the fact that you look at it with the approach of uh, a customization to a certain point for you, right? And I think we have these constructs of what a leader looks like. We know that be, between leadership and management there's two different things and all this kind of stuff, but rarely do we do what you just did, and that's break it down specifically for us individually, right? And saying, this is the type of leader that I want to be, this is the type of leader I'm going to be, and this is how it's going to move with my team. There is a question here. I'm going to ask this question since it's perfect timing. How many employees are in your how many employees in your company? Is your company global or do you plan to go global? So it looks like how many, asking about your company here.
Yes, I do plan to go global because AI infrastructure is needed in every industry, in all the communities. Um, which is why I was in Bali actually already global because I was doing AI workshops in Bali. And
Right.
then I went to Dubai, did workshops there. So technically,
You're global in real
technically,
life. Um,
um,
there's another
yeah,
question. How do we get in contact with you? Okay, so I think she put her LinkedIn in the
I
chat.
did just,
You guys can
I did.
go to her LinkedIn and get with her. And we'll definitely, as we close up, we'll let her shout out her website and all that good stuff. So you guys can find her in multiple places. Um, so maintaining balance and creativity, right? Whether you're doing something fun. I know you like outdoors. I know you like to do other things. How do you maintain balance and creativity? And I know the answer because I think I know you. But how do you balance the balanced creativity and what you have to do while managing the weight of leading innovation? Like it's that's we talk about life be lifing and how you present yourself as a leader. What do you do for yourself to kind of keep that balance and still be really driving forward on innovation and these things that you're working on, but still staying essentially you and
Yeah,
having
it's hard.
balance. Yeah.
Um, Honestly, I have gotten to a point now where it's not that I make myself, but I have one of my core values is to feel. And so whenever life gets rocky or whenever like uncertainty arises, because there's always uncertainty, especially right before you level up, there's this moment where everything is just like a void every time. It
Mhm.
never fails. So I make I allow myself, I think that's the best word. I allow myself to feel through it. Because what I found is every time I would bottle it up or push it off, like I'll feel this later, just go straight to solutions, my body would keep score and then I break down and it's worse off than if I would have just took the moment to cry.
Yeah.
Like, and for as you know, that looks like for me like going on hikes, going into nature, meditating, making sure I do my morning routine no matter where I am, or like take time to do skincare because it's a moment to myself to like get out of my head and into my body. So that's what allows me to stay creative because once I'm able to feel emotions and get back clear, get back connected, I'm a believer in the Most High, so get back connected.
Mm.
It's like life comes back just as quickly, like as quickly as the mind shift happened. And then next thing you know, I'm planning a listening tour.
Yes. And this blend, I think is so important. And I know we're going to get a little bit more, and there's a couple more questions before we close up that are more technical. But I think it's important when we talk to technologists about that side, right? Because there's this whole thing. You're a technologist and you're an innovator and you're doing all these things. We talk about AI, we talk about
Yeah.
automation, we talk about all these systems and all this stuff, but you're
Yeah.
still human. And
Exactly.
if you don't, tap in and continue to tap into that human side of you, then you'll be off balance no matter what, right?
Exactly.
Even if you're being successful as a business person, even if you're being successful, as an organizer or whatever you're doing, you're still
Yeah.
gonna lose because you're not maintaining that balance. And I know that's something that's really important to you. So the future of work is being shaped by automation and data ownership. We talked a little bit about that, right? What do you think the next generation of professionals must understand to stay ahead?
Um, that's a good question. I don't even think I have a concrete answer because it's changing so much. But what I will say, what I will say is, there's different types of people, but just like, because there's some people who are tinkerers. I was talking about this Afrotech too. Like the people who are like super curious and they're gonna go straight to AI. They're gonna use it. They're gonna try it out immediately because they're those lifelong learners. That's how they are. But then there's also skeptics who will be like, it ain't safe. Back
Yeah,
up. AI nothing. But no. So knowing that there's a genius to both, because those tinkerers, oh, they're gonna move fast. They're gonna figure it out. They're going to be able to use it. They're gonna turn into your teachers. But then those skeptics, honestly, their genius is they're going to turn into the policymakers. They're going to know where the red line is. They're going to be like, hey, build, do your thing, but don't go past here because that's just, now it's conflicting with my humanness.
right, right.
So I would say, I would say don't fight your nature, but just find out what your genius is and how it can be applied to still get to the end goal, because the end goal of sovereignty, the end goal of smarter systems, the end goal of thriving, and thriving in the now, like, should always be there, and just use who you are to still go in that direction.
And I think, and I think some of the things, just from what you just said, I think some of the things um, are absolutely generational, right? The reactions or responses to AI,
Yeah.
to what tools and the things are going on. Going back to some of the reference points that we had, growing up, we had Terminator, we had the Matrix, we
I
had
robot.
right, we had all these things that, like, we're like, okay, and it's going to be machines versus us, right? And so
Okay, here we
um,
are.
so it's so
Scared.
important, I think, to keep that balance of humanity in there, and also
Yeah.
to put in, you said, there is, although, we don't know maybe where it is at this point, but there is a red line, right? There is like there's
There is.
there's something that we shouldn't cross, or that we should make sure that we're putting in a function
Yeah.
to
I don't
manage,
believe
make
in
sure that we don't.
AI being completely autonomous. Like, I believe in automation, but human-centered automation.
There you go. Okay.
I wouldn't say AI should not be at the center of
Yes.
automation.
Great. That's great. So how does WeNight prepare its partners not just for efficiency but for long-term sustainability, excuse me,
Yeah.
trust in their systems? I want to get these last couple because I know these are good ones for you to answer. So I'll answer
Okay.
it again real quick. How does WeNight prepare its partners not just for efficiency but for long-term sustainability and trust in their systems?
Um, that's a great question. So what we're building right now, like the pilot program is one, like usually it's 2 to 3 workflows.
Hmm.
Our end goal is for an entire smart campus. So that means every department, every workflow is connected. Everyone, depending on, what they have access to, can see everything that they need, like right in front of them on a screen, on their phone, wherever. And so what we do for our partners is we start here. We start with 1, 2, 3 workflows, but we make sure to walk with them through the entire transformation because it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. And they also need, like, they need to be walked through it. Like, no one transforms without the tribe.
That's right. That's right. No, that's good. And that obviously, and we talked about trust earlier, and that builds that trust, which trust builds sustainability. So it's all connected.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think we're getting close to the close here, but I want
yeah.
to, and I so much appreciate your time. I know I called you into this, and you always show up. So I'm so happy to see you. What new projects or partnerships are you most excited about that reflect WeNite's next evolution as you move forward here? Any new partnerships, any new projects, any new things? I know you talked about the pilot, we talked about smart campuses, and I know that's your main focus, but
Mm-hmm.
I know you did Afro Tech,
Mm-hmm.
you've done a bunch of other events and convenings, spoke at a bunch of things. Anything? What's next? What's coming up?
Yeah, so what's next is this listening tour.
That's
But
right.
beyond the listening tour, I would love to continue to expand the workshops and teaching students and faculty AI and like ways that they can use it and help change everyone's mindset to ownership and not consumerism. That's what the workshops are about. Also more speaking engagements, but this time paid. I did so many speaking engagements over the past 2 years, and I realized that um, in order for it to be sustainable, it has to be paid
That's
because
right.
I want to give so much, and it takes time to like. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it, but those three things. So the listening tour, hosting AI workshops at campuses, as well as speaking more in spaces where they need to, yeah, where this knowledge is wanted and
Yeah.
needed.
I think it's important that we make that we speak that into existence. I mean, I think it's passion work for you in a lot of ways. And so when you do passion work, um, you know, it's something that you would do for free. And we end up doing it for free quite a bit. And I think that it's
Too long.
as an entrepreneur, myself, and as you being an entrepreneur, I think that we do need to put out there that look, we have these services and we have this knowledge and we have these systems and we have all these things available. But they are valuable, and we want to
Yeah.
make sure that and then the other part that I was laughing about earlier when we were talking about you traveling around and doing all these things, what people don't see is what it took to get there, right?
So
What
much.
did I have to leverage in order to get to the stage in Afrotech? What did I have to, we did the Align conference together in LA, and you came
Yeah.
from Bali. How many stop, what does it take, and the expenses that goes to be in these spaces and to represent and to present in these spaces. And I think that's important, and I'm glad. And it looks like Dr. Perkins agrees too. She said, yes, get on that paid speaker path
Yes.
immediately because it's worth it, and what you offer is so valuable. So
Yeah.
I'll co-sign that, and I'll shout out to all 15, 20 people that are on this line, and anybody else that's please connect with Anastasia. She is amazing, and she does you've only been able through this conversation to very very much just see the surface of what WeNite has to offer and what she has to offer. Before we close, I got one more question for you, and it is I always am about a call to action, right? I'm always, I
Yeah.
kind of just did one, but in addition to that one, I would love to know if you could leave our audience with one message. This could be to business leaders, educators, and advocates alike, but about building ethical, equitable, empowering technology. What would it be? What
Mhm.
would be that message if you had a message to give to those folks about building ethical, equitable, and empowering technology?
My call to action would be to only like make a commitment to yourself to choose things that only align with that mindset of we are abundant, we are thriving. Like when you approach things from the lens of that, like not out of scarcity, because scarcity have you making some choices out of fear. We've been there, done that, we've learned our lessons. So now, like, only do things out of alignment with what feels good, which is abundance. You're thriving. You're fine. You're okay. It's going to get better. Like, So you don't have to rush and use tools. You don't have to rush and give away your data. You don't have to rush and do this. Like, take the time, do the due diligence. Use your your inner compass before saying yes to partnerships, before collaborating with big companies that don't really care about anything you got going on. So I would say make choices from like commit, like, because everyone could do that today. Like, make choices that come from there, starting today.
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. I'm gonna open up see if there's a couple more questions maybe that the audience has. So if you have a question or comment, you can jump on real quick before we close out the session. Dr. Pat, I see you.
Hey there. Hey there, Kim. Hey there, Anastasia. Right? Anastasia?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your message. I really appreciate it, and for your mission as well. So yeah, I'm Dr. Pat. I actually our missions are fairly twinsies, as I would
Ah,
say. But I help leaders advance by leveraging AI for their career path, right? To get them to
mhm.
the next promotion. So and they also become indispensable because we need to keep,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so um, I have a couple of contacts and I connected you on LinkedIn, so I just wanted to say that
Beautiful.
first. But can you share a little bit about your mission? You mentioned community, and I love that's at the forefront. How are you seeing HBCUs partner with each other or with local businesses, based on how you're coming into that HBCU? Is there any kind of metric you can track or anything that you can say that one thing associated with the other?
That is a great question. As of right now, what I'm seeing is usually like the entrepreneurship programs, like I see them work a lot together with the other HBCUs, like they team up, but it's like very departmental and like siloed, and everyone talks about it. Um, However, yeah, I don't have a metric in place, but no, I want to, and we're going to connect. So no, I want to talk about it. Now my brain's tinkering. I'm like, what metric can I?
That's right.
Well, but the
Because
thing
it's
is,
important.
Akil would agree with this. Like right now, there's an opportunity to really create studies around your work.
Yeah.
Start looking at the broader impact and influence. It actually can support you getting paid speaking engagements as well. But I just wanted to say that because what you do has an impact, and whether you know
Yeah.
it's tracking somehow, some way, some shape, it is literally making a difference. And I
Yeah.
want to see you all get the accolades around that you can. So yeah.
I appreciate you so much, because that's a part of the listening tour too. I want at the end, I'm going to do an impact report of all the universities. So I'm going to figure out the metric or metrics to be able to track the collaboration part, because I do know it's happening. I just don't know in correlation to what.
You'll
So
figure
thank
it out.
you.
You're
Oh,
absolutely welcome.
mhm.
All right. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Dr. Pat.
Yeah.
I think that is, that's those are key questions. And, if we help each other even grow or think about things that we didn't think about before, it strengthens our work. And I do agree. When you asked the question about the, connecting with businesses and other folks that can get involved with some of the work that you're doing or that's being done at the universities, I immediately thought, okay, well, these are the funding sources right here, and these are
Mhm.
opportunities to
Mhm.
provide resources. I also think that that Anastasia's point about vetting those and being very selective and intentional about who you partner with, so that you're not being exploited or they're not,
That was
misusing
the word.
what you're doing. Those kind of
Exploited.
things, I think, is super. There we go. We're connected. So those things are super important too, as we build not only the community but the coalitions and the work that we're doing. So I'm glad we had this connection. I'm glad you guys connected, because I think that
Yes.
this is exactly what we're doing this for. Obviously, to highlight the genius and the insights of our guest Anastasia, but also to make these connections. And that's one of the things that attracted me to being part of BDPA from the very beginning was that opportunity to touch base with people who are, in many other ways like-minded. I'm not a technologist. I'll just put that out there. But I am so interested in what's going on in tech world and see the necessity as you said, Dr. Pat. It's not going to be AI that replaces you. It's going to be somebody that knows how to leverage and that's going to replace you. And so, I'm very keen on that. Are there any other questions out there real quick? Anybody else have any thoughts?
If you have a laptop, you are a technologist. Exactly. Akil is very much a technologist.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. So great. I want to, I know Devin is somewhere around here. I want to give him the chance to help us close out, but I will say real quick, I want to give a shout out to Anastasia for being here, for everybody being here. Anastasia, please shout out if you put your LinkedIn, I know, but
Yeah, I'll put it
the
again.
website maybe put the website in there. You talked about where you're going to be. I think there's people that's looking for you at FAMU, probably looking for you in St. Louis now. So going to be looking for you in the Bay Area. So we want to make sure that we get you connected to everybody possible that definitely can push your mission forward. And I will just, share a little bit from I want to give one shout out to a project that I'm working on that I want everybody to know about, and that is the Job Corps Information Technology Academy. We have launched in the Atlanta region 5 IT academies at 5 different Job Corps centers in the Southeast. This is an active pilot, and we are pushing cybersecurity, data analytics, and database administration are the 3 areas that we have our students being trained in. We're looking for work-based opportunities for them. We're looking to drive enrollment. We're looking to really make this happen. As a pilot, we all talked about pilots. As a pilot, our mission is to make this a permanent training opportunity for the students in Job Corps. And if you know about Job Corps works with lower income 16 to 24-year-olds. So that's our future. And so the more we can grow technology for them, the better. And so that's a project that I have going on, and I will share with you anybody who wants to share with me. I did put my email and my phone number in the chat, so make sure that you guys connect with me. Outside of that, I think we will go ahead and close out. I think Devin must have done something else. So, well, I'll go ahead and close our meeting now. Thank you all for being here. Man, we really, really appreciate this group and all the work that you guys are doing. Let's keep going. Vanguard is such an appreciative partner to BDPA, and the fact that we get to do this, very often. We really appreciate the platform and the opportunity to bring our friends and our colleagues and our guests to the fold. As Devin would say, BDPA, go to bdpa.com, check out the Tech and Career Talks, or go to the YouTube channel and pull up BDPA. All of these are across, there's a lot of those to see, and thank goodness Vanguard has been part of a bunch of them. But BDPA does this Tech and Career Talk, I think he said at least every month, if not more often than that. So thank you guys for being here, and we'll go ahead and shut down. I did see some of the comments in the
they want to connect.
Oh, let's do it. Let's get together as soon as possible.
We got work to do.
We have a lot of work to do. So I appreciate you guys. I'm going to go ahead and close the meeting, and let's connect ASAP.
Yes, take
Great
care.
day. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Peace.
All right.